There's something remarkable about living a life that's aligned with your values. But forging your own career path is an act of courage. Today, I'm meeting with Katie Fritts, who took a bold leap of faith to start a new chapter as an entrepreneur. What she found along the way was a deeper sense of purpose, freedom, and big dreams for her young family's future.
Katie, I'm so excited to meet you in person here and to hear about your journey that you've been on and hear more about you and your family and how things have changed and grown over time. Tell me a little bit about who you are, what's driven you over time, and maybe a little bit about your purpose that's driving that force.
I'm really happy that you're here, Tom. Thanks for coming to Austin. So a little about me. I am an entrepreneur, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, and I am someone who's navigating the balance of a career change from something very traditional to something very unknown, while also going through the natural unknowns of life of getting married, having a son, losing a parent, and finding ways to understand and make sense of it all. And with what I want my purpose to be in life, figuring out how does my pursuit of freedom and joy and, financial success and overall having a rich life, how that all intertwines and makes sense.
And tell me a little bit about the businesses that you've built over time.
So my first company is Underclub, and we are a women's underwear subscription. And the embarrassing inspiration behind it was that I had decade-old underwear. And instead of finding a solution where I just went out and shopped for my own underwear, I now shop for tens of thousands of women's pairs of underwear. So my jewelry company is called Fritts, and we started with the idea of reimagining the tennis bracelet and how you think about the components of fine jewelry. We wanted to bring something fun and sparkling and enjoyable and kind of irreverent to the jewelry space.
Colors to match any outfit as well.
Yes, we can do, we wanted to have fun with it. You could bring color in aside from stones.
And you're wearing some as well.
I am, yeah. So this one here is, actually this one is our bestseller.
Oh, is it? It's beautiful.
The champagne necklace, thank you.
What is the driving force, the purpose that you're trying to achieve?
I think the common thread is really helping women maximize their joy. I've ultimately been the consumer and initial use case. How do I get dressed every morning and enjoy what I'm putting on? What am I investing in from my jewelry drawer that I feel like is something that I'd be loving now and proud to pass down to whoever gets it next?
Looking back, you jumped right into a career in banking. Tell us what led you to that career and what you were thinking about your purpose at that time.
When I was graduating college, I think I was always on the track of what is a responsible career to take. And that was defined a lot by how I was brought up. My parents are very responsible, and they've always taught me and my sister to save and be aware of what we're doing with our money. I landed something that I thought was prestigious and a good training forum for whatever I wanted to do next, and I took it.
And what's funny about all of this is banking is actually where I began my career as well. What would you say at that time? What was driving what you viewed as most important that you were trying to achieve?
I executed and I did what I needed to do to get the job done. And it was picking my head up and realizing, why am I not as happy as I thought I would be pursuing that? The values that they had instilled and adding my perspective and my spin on that, which was allowing myself to build more freedom, input more creativity into what I was doing, is when I started to get into my groove of feeling more fulfilled. And that's when I decided to go back to school. I went back to get my MBA.
How did you take all of that and begin to think about adjusting the finances to where they needed to be? What financial shifts did you make, knowing that you're about to make this pretty significant career change in your life?
I probably owe a lot of that to my parents, of the saving and the cushion that I had built over time. I joke that when I started my career as like probably a first grader walking dogs in the neighborhood, and they would take the money that I earned to put it in the bank. And at the time, that really flustered me because I wanted to go spend that on Beanie Babies. And instead, it was locked away. By the time I was making my own decisions about money, I had taken enough of what they had taught me. When the time came to go back to school, I was very fortunate that I had chosen a career that had means to support the route of pursuing continuing education that could be funded by myself. And also, after that, going to start a business with the means and the knowledge of budgeting what it would take.
Tell us a little bit more about the financial shifts. What additional shifts did you have to make and think about?
I'm paying to start a career instead of being paid to start a career. So it was adjusting how I live my day-to-day life, what my social activities are, what my other spend is on.
So you had to make some really tough decisions. Was there anything in regard to protection strategies, health insurance, life insurance, disability insurance?
This answer will appall you that I probably did not think about that in a way that is responsible. What was going through my head at the time was I was in my mid-30s and I felt healthy and I took some risks where, in retrospect, it's probably not the advice I would give to someone else going through it.
So how have your goals changed now that your family has grown?
Having a family, it definitely makes me think about refocus on the security side of finances. Earlier in my life, health insurance was something that I crossed my fingers and I just hope worked out. And now it's something that it's not if it happened to me, if it's happened to my husband, if it happened to my son, that I am a lot more aware of the risks that I am willing to take.
And is there travel in the plan as well?
There's always travel in the plan. That's one of the highlights of the year. We aim to do a family trip once a year.
Is this Chad?
That is Chad and Fritts. We are Italy 2024. We did a big trip to the Dolomites, went hiking around, and then we ended in Venice. And
so Fritz must only be then, what is that, like 6 months old or so?
Yeah. I know, I've never checked a bag before having a kid, and now it feels like we're checking way too many. And before long, he's going to be requiring his own seat on a plane, and that's a meaningful difference in how you budget and plan for that type of experience.
So as you think about these short-term goals and keeping your longer-term priorities in mind, have you made any shifts to plan for these short-term goals, like a potential new house, potentially more travel, while keeping the long-term in focus?
That is something that we kind of do off the cuff that I'm sure we would get better advice from a financial advisor to plan this a little more holistically. But right now, we kind of just do it
on a more day-to-day basis.
On a more day-to-day basis.
Have you ever thought about working with a financial advisor?
Working with a financial advisor is definitely on my radar. My dad has worked with financial advisors, and the information trickles down to me, and I am someone that knows that I don't know what I don't know, and I'm always pleasantly surprised when I speak with somebody who is so much of an expert in their field.
Okay, well, let's say there was a financial advisor in the room right now. What might you ask that person?
I think I'd be very interested in how we have our portfolio of assets set up and what is the right asset allocation and putting our money to work, knowing that we want to take, or we will continue to take risks in life, and we also want to enjoy life. How do you balance that?
And is there anything beyond the financial portfolio, anything broader, thinking about protection strategies, legacy planning, retirement planning, education savings?
I guess when I think about financial planning, this is one of the things that I don't know. I kind of always assume they're all looped into the same conversation. To me, kind of savings is retirement. And so to view them as two different things would be something that I have not thought of.
And this is common. These are things that we hear every single day. It's hard to know everything, and that's why it's good to have a trusted financial advisor. What are those things that you are trying to achieve for your son and your family in the future?
The independence and the confidence to go out and pursue something with passion and responsibility that he wants to do. I feel strongly, given my upbringing, in the value of learning what a dollar is worth and how you put a dollar to use and what you invest a dollar in.
Are there any legacy or education goals that you'd like to think about for Fritts?
I hope he goes in the NBA. But
That'd be fun.
if that route doesn't pan out, I have faith that he's a creative and a smart little kid, and we're going to do our best to give him opportunity to explore what he wants to do and what he's good at.
Thinking about ways that you can prepare your legacy, what steps have you taken to ensure that it's done in the way that you want and efficiently as well? Thinking about a trust, for example.
Is starting to be something that is more on my mind. I see how my dad is starting to think about these things. And when he goes on a trip, I get scared and I chuckle by the text that I get from him of, Kate, if anything happens, everything you need is in the file cabinet. And I know that he has done a lot of thoughtful planning. I know I will get on board that train soon. It's starting with a good example currently of how I think about that.
So Katie, you mentioned success is multifaceted. What has been the key constant in that purpose?
My constant purpose has been joy and freedom. And I think I have pursued that whether consciously or not, with the initial change from banking to startup, wanting to make more of my own decisions and pursue my own path. And now intentionally with balancing work with a family, knowing that the everyday things that I look forward to reflecting upon is what were the moments of freedom and joy within my day.
Katie's story shows that intentional career choices can unlock fulfillment and confidence for the future. Everyone is different, and we're here to help you find what makes your life rich.
How are you talking about this with Chad and your son Fritts even at the age of 1?
With Chad, it's a very active conversation because he's now going down the path of starting a business himself. When both of us are taking the risks that we take, we do have to be so much more diligent with how we plan and how we think about what's next for us. With Fritts right now, it's story time, but I do think it's important that he sees everything. He sees when we're happy, he sees when we're going through challenges, and he sees us, most importantly, rebound from the times that are hard. And building that resilience is a character trait that I hope he takes away from all of this.
So if there's someone out there that's also trying to define their rich, what advice would you give that person?
The advice that I would give to somebody looking to find their rich is to help them think about what they value most and what brings them the most joy. I understand freedom to lead to joy for me. And I think freedom is not having a home run every time you try something, but the ability to feel like you're willing to take the swing, knowing the ball could go any which way. It's going to be strikeout several times, but to have the home run feeling is part of the whole game of freedom. If I knew I was going to hit a home run every time, it wouldn't be fun, and there would be no challenge in life.